Did you ever dream about this one scenario when you were a kid? You'd head down to your local park, take your football, have a kickabout, whether that was alone or with your friends. You do some incredible skills, you may even play some pickup game, and your true inner Neymar comes out. And whilst you're doing these amazing skills and scoring these amazing goals, you see that one car drive by that stops with these mysterious tinted windows. He pulls his window down and then calls you over. And the reason he called you over was because that he just turns out to be a Real Madrid scout. I remember having this thought in my head every time I used to go down to the park when I was like 10 years old. But sadly, and obviously, this never happened. But do you remember those good old days? But eventually you grew up and football never actually turned out to be the way you imagined. You never got to the level that you would have wanted to. So let's talk about the now, what you can actually do now. You didn't get scouted when you were young, so how can you increase your chances now that you're older? Today I'm going to give you 5 tips on how to get scouted. But before I do, I'm just going to ask you for one favor. There are quite a lot of you who aren't subscribed. You're probably watching this right now and you don't know whether you're subscribed or not. So if you could just do me a very quick favor, scroll below this video and double check if you're subscribed, and if you're not, of course, please click that subscribe button. Whilst you're there, you might as well leave the video a cheeky like as well. Okay, so step number 1 of the checklist of what you need to do and have in order to get scouted. The first one's very basic, and that is you have to be good. I know it sounds like stupid, like of course you have to be good, but there are an incredible amount of players who reach out to us asking to be scouted, asking for these opportunities, they want a pro contract, this, that and the other, where in reality, they're simply just not at that level yet. That doesn't mean they never will be at that level, but right now where they're at, they're just simply not good enough for what they're looking for. And that can be quite a tough reality shock for a lot of players we talk to, but that's the truth. And it isn't a bad thing. If you were good enough, then you wouldn't have anything to work on. You'd have no purpose, you'd have no path, you wouldn't have any direction. But now that you actually know that you're not good enough or not quite up to the standards that you need to be in order for scouts to sort of look at you and say, he's actually decent. So regardless, you have to be good. You have to be one of the better players in your team. If you're not, then, the best players are just going to get scouted. It doesn't just come down to talent. Of course, it is about mentality, and, scouts do want to know what you're like on and off the field, but when it comes down to it and scouts come to watch your games, if you don't stick out, if you don't look like one of the best players on the field, then why would you be scouted? Step number 2 does somewhat correlate to the previous step, and that is you have to play at a good standard of football. This does not mean a professional league. This does not mean the best academy set up in the country, but this has to be at somewhat of a respectable level. For example, in England, there are a lot of scouts in the non-league or semi-pro setup, even in some of the lower leagues. Within England, within non-league especially, for some reason, everyone seems to know everyone. So even if you're in a lower league, step 7, whatever, and you're playing well, people do know your name and your name will get out there to leagues above. And even if a scout does come down from 1 or 2 leagues above, that's still 1 or 2 leagues above where you're currently at. So that is progress. So yes, if you're just playing Sunday league, complete amateur football, you cannot really expect to be scouted. Okay, so you're a good player and you play at a decent level ticked off. Let's go to step 3. And that all boils down to consistency. You have to play well on a frequent basis. This is the best way for your name to get out there. Like I was mentioning earlier, that your name does get out there, especially within non-league. And this is the best way to do that, by putting in 8 out of 10 performances on a weekly basis over the course of a few months. Your name will get out there and people will, start thinking, this player is actually very good. Does he deserve a chance in a higher league? So once you know you've got the talent, you're one of the better players in the team, if you will, you've got a good attitude, you help your teammates, you play at a somewhat of a good standard, and then you're playing consistency, then you do have the main 3 things to increase your chances of actually getting scouts to notice you. Step number 4 now is somewhat of a smaller tips that you can actually take action on straight away to increase your chances, and that is doing the simple things extremely well and being very vocal on the pitch. On and off for that matter. But for right now, just for the purpose of this video, we're talking about on the pitch. So why do you need to master the simple things? If you actually take a step back and analyze the professional game and even the higher semi-professional levels of football, you'll notice that the good players, the professional players, do the simple things extremely well. 95% of the game is just simple passes, simple movements, and that is the best way to actually play. So master that. Try not to overcomplicate things a lot of the time. Stop trying to dribble within your own third. Do the simple thing. Get the ball, look up before you get the ball, Decide what you're going to do before you even get the ball and move the ball quickly. Try and do as many passes as possible of 1 or 2 touches, maximum 3. Keep that in your head. Scan so you know who's around you, your opponents and your teammates. Your movement of the ball is extremely important. If you can master these things, scouts will notice you. I also mentioned be vocal there. That is extremely important. Just imagine the scenario. A scout comes out to your game and hears your voice all game, shouting, giving your teammates info, giving positive feedback, even when a player makes mistakes. If he can hear your voice, if he can hear you motivating and helping your teammates, that's going to stick out and he will notice that. Not only that, but your coaches do love a vocal player as well. And of course, it does help your teammates, which is obviously the most important thing. You need to do everything you can in order to win, because again, a scout doesn't want a player who always loses. Okay, the last step is to actually take things into your own hands. Now, if you've done all of these 4 things and it's been a whole season at a good level and you're thinking, there's no scouts at all, I've got no interest, I heard nothing, what can I do now? In this scenario, the best thing for you to do is take things into your own hands and search for opportunities yourself. We've spoken about this a bunch of times, how to network for yourself, how to find opportunities. So take action on that and actually do it. There's LinkedIn, there's Transfermarkt, there's J&M Football. We've got all these services and platforms and connections and partnerships, all for you to use and find opportunities for yourself. So if you were interested in our service, the service in which we actually network on your behalf, the link to our website will be in the description. There is also a sale for Black Friday, 30% off. Just use the code FIRESALE at checkout. That will still be active post Black Friday, just for a few days. And we do only have a few slots left for this month before we try and open a few slots for December, but we shall see. So I hope you enjoyed these 5 tips on how to actually get scouted or increase your chances of getting scouted anyway. If you did enjoy this video or relate to the imagination at the start of the video, I would appreciate if you could leave a like on this video. I've said video about 1,000 times now, but thanks again for watching. I shall see you in the next one.